and welcome to the Women of Power show with myself, Lovelda Vincenzi. This is the show where women share their power tools, what I call the tools, techniques, and strategies that have enabled their success in life and business, such that you can show up in your power. Now, today's guest is an incredible woman who is only 26 years old, but out there conquering the world as a life coach, teaching women and others how to live fully in their power, embracing all that is them. Welcome my guest today, Tasheante Locust. Hello, my darling.
I am great, and yourself?
I'm absolutely fabulous. So tell me, for those guests who are listening in, who perhaps have never come across you before and they need to, what was it that got you into life coaching? What's been your journey thus far?
So leading up to getting my life coach certification, so I used to work in customer service. I started at Walmart, then I was in extended stay hotels, and now I'm a guest services supervisor at Target Center. And so I meet a lot of people on a daily basis. And for some reason, people just naturally would come to me and just spill their life story, just spill it all out. Like, it'd be heavy. And I learned in doing that, in those happenings, like, I'm empathetic. Like, I was really feeling these people's problems. And not knowing anything about them other than what they just told me, I was able to give them advice that really worked for them, that really like made a difference for them. And it went from being just strangers to being friends and family. And there was one week where I had all my girlfriends, they were all going through something, and they all called on me. And throughout that entire week, like, I was getting them all through similar situations, but they were all different because, different people, but same situations. And the fact that I was able to get them all through this situation, and they all told me, you should be a life coach. Like, you're really good at this. Why aren't you getting paid? I'm like, you know what? You're right. When you're good at something, you shouldn't be doing it for free. So I went and got my life coaching certification back in 2018. And then January 2019, I started my first business.
Wow. I love the boldness about it, right? Because some people might say, listen, you're young, and why would you think that you'd have the experience to go into life coaching? But I love that you found something where others were saying, look, we see this in you. We see this in you. You're doing it anyway. You should really embrace it further and run with it. And do you think this is a thing that more people need to do? Because I know sometimes we have talents, and we have gifts. Others see them in us. Maybe we're, I don't know, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, maybe we're really good at cooking, or maybe we're really good at making clothing. And yet, what was the thing that had you go from listening to and hearing those insights to going, actually, I'm really going to do it? What made you different? Because a lot of people might sit on something like that.
What made me different is, like, I knew there was a purpose for me. Like, I am here for a reason. No matter where I go, who I connect with, everybody loves me. I'm like, I need to be more for these people. What can I do? And then I realized, I just started paying more attention to my day-to-day life. And I realized I am already who I need to be for these people, but more people need me. So that's why I pursued life coaching, so I could reach as many people as I possibly could.
I love when you go, I just knew more people needed me. Like, I don't want to play, I'm helping my current circle, but more people need me.
Yes.
Do you know where that level of confidence comes from, that you can just see so big and want to play so big? Can you map it back to something, or have you always been this confident?
It's just always been me. It's just who I am. It used to annoy my mom growing up, because, like, people would give me compliments, and instead of saying thank you, I would say, I know. Like, I mean, I do appreciate the compliment, but I also do know this already.
I love that, because I think often as women in particular, we can maybe shy away from somebody being quite complimentary of us, the idea that somebody's saying something positive about us. But I love that you're just able to so own that, like, this is who I am and this is what I'm about. And I don't need any sort of whilst I appreciate it, you know, who doesn't like people to say nice things about them? But the
Right.
idea that I already know that's within me.
Exactly.
Is
And
this
that's what
something that you work with your clients on? Like, do you find that you have people coming to you who are perhaps the opposite of that see that in you, that quality of this real assuredness of who you are and want to emulate that? Or are your clients and people who work with you kind of similar?
No, they are the complete opposite. Like, because they see where I've come from and where I am now. And they like, we came from the same background. How are you where you are? Help me. So that's where I'm like, okay, just let me know what you want to do. And sometimes they don't know what they want to do. And that's my job, like to help them find their purpose. Like figure out what you do on a day-to-day basis. Find what makes you happy. And if you have to, monetize it. Make money from it. Because sometimes people, you ask what makes you happy and they mention money. So monetize your talents. And there's so many hidden talents in women alone, not just the Black community, but women alone. And then with so many women being so insecure about who they are, because again, you spend the most time with you. So you know who you are when you're away from the people you see on a daily basis. So it's easy to criticize yourself and feel like that you're not worthy of the things that people think you are worthy of, if that makes sense.
It makes absolute sense. And there's a couple of things that you said there that really shone out to me. One was your clients are the complete opposite of you because they see something in you that they would like to have for themselves. And I think it's quite important we highlight that, because I think often we're scared of showing up because who's going to like us and who are we to show up? But it's that understanding of, by doing so, you almost shine a light for somebody else to do exactly the same thing, don't you?
Yes, definitely.
And what is it, do you have any specific techniques or tools that you use with your clients who are coming in perhaps from that more shy, insecure place? Because you said they're almost the polar opposite of you. How do you get them to a place where they're ready to like fully show up? Because that's a journey. You don't kind of go to bed one night, say a beautiful prayer, wake up the next morning and bada bing, bada boom, we're full of energy and vibrancy. So how do you take people through that journey? Is there a particular pinnacle moment where people have that light bulb, aha, and there's a shift, or is it much more linear?
So there definitely has to be a shift, and the shift just has to be a want, like a genuine desire. Because I feel like, no, I'm not, I feel like I've learned, like from my own life experiences, if you really want something, you're going to do whatever it takes to get that thing. So you have to do that same thing with yourself. Like if you genuinely want yourself to be a high power, it's not going to be an easy road. So continue to educate yourself as much as possible. Instead of remaining in the mindset that you've been in, put more knowledge into your head, meditate more, like do some inner work in order to get the outer picture that you're looking for.
So start with the inner work.
Start with the inner work.
And it feels almost a little bit contrary, almost a little bit upside down to start outside first, because what we look at is we go, well, when I have the success and the acknowledgement and the job and when my situation changes, when this reality changes, then I'll be able to almost be like, relax into it and unwind. But it sounds like you're saying that's not how it works.
That is not how it works. You have to work from the inside first. Because have you heard, like, you can have all the money in the world, you can be as rich as possible and still be unhappy? It's because you built the outside, but you didn't start from the inside. And because you still have all the negative energy, all the unresolved trauma just mustering up in you, it's not allowing you to enjoy your success. It's not allowing you to enjoy the things that you acquired in your life.
And it's the enjoyment, really, isn't it? We're not just, I think it's about the acquisition, but really we want to acquire the stuff, for want of a better term, in order to have some sort of feeling. There's a great quote that kind of goes, It doesn't matter where you go, wherever you run to, there you'll be. And
Exactly.
I think that's what you're kind of alluding to. You know, you can run into a bigger home, a better job, a different marriage, a new relationship. You can find new friendship groups, but you're going to still show up there. And if you're not happy with the who that you are, then that's really not going to shift. So for those people who perhaps have been playing more of an outer game, up until now, it's all been about changing the external constructs of their life such that they can feel better. What have you to say to them in terms of a place to start inwardly? Because it feels like, where do I start? So I have to play this inner game, but girl, where should I start with this?
The best way to start is by meditating. Whether it be silence, or what I like to do is YouTube has so many meditations, like for anything that you're like, they have meditation for anxiety. So just starting to meditate will allow you to get in touch with your inside. Like in silent meditations, I usually just literally make sure there's no sound at all and just start from head to toe. I'm in my head and I start at the crown. I'm like, there's no pain. I am fine. Go down to my throat. My voice works. And then I say, I love me out loud. It's an affirmation. I love me. My voice works. I am fine. I work my way down to my heart. My heart is fine. My heart is beating regular. Just go all the way, and it's also known as a chakra balance. So there's also that on YouTube. You can look up balancing your chakras. The point is just get in touch with your inside. Figure out what's going on inside of you, and then get a journal, and just take a whole week. Like some people do the same thing on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes their weeks are the exact same. So get a journal. And every time you laugh, write it down. Write down what made you laugh. Write down what about that made you laugh. It could have been your values, your personal experiences, like any beliefs, like anything. Just learn yourself. When you're learning yourself, like you have no choice but to be in here. So that is your starting point.
I have never heard it described like that before. Learn yourself. Like get right in there. And that exercise around really understanding not just documenting that I laughed today, but what made you laugh? Like I'd never even thought to capture that. What made me laugh? Why did I laugh at that versus something else? Was it the person? Exactly. Was it the circumstance? What values does that touch into? And do you think that your confidence has come from a real understanding of yourself? Is that where you think confidence comes from?
Honestly, I think my understanding of myself is where my confidence came from. Because like being aware of who I am, being aware of what makes me happy, what makes me sad, what makes me angry, how I react in these different emotions. Like just being that aware of myself, I'm like, okay, I got a pretty good handle on myself. I know how to contain myself. I know how to control myself. I know what to do, what not to do when I'm in these certain emotions. And I know one of my favorite quotes is, whatever makes you happy, do it, and do it a lot. So that's why I say, make a journal of what makes you happy so you can continue to go back there. Especially you'll have a list of things to resort to when you are angry or when you are upset and you don't know how to get out of these moods. Go to this list and do what made you happy.
I used to say years ago, it's so easy to be really happy and to live a fulfilled life. Like literally just do whatever it is that makes you feel happy and live a fulfilled life. So I love that you kind of brought it back to the journal. It's almost full circle. Write the journal so you've got an idea of what it is that brings you joy, but also get yourself out of those funks where you're really not feeling it. Like where you've kind of, you know that you're in that little low period by you've now got this list of things that really does fill you with joy, and start doing those things to reverse it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So now I really want to kind of explore feminine power, because this is the Women of Power show. And the purpose of this show is to really shine a spotlight on what it means to be powerful as a woman. And I think the only place to start with that is to have a really clear understanding of what is feminine power? Like what is the essence of a woman's power? So I'm really curious from you, how do you define the essence of a woman's power? Where do you think it comes from?
The essence of a woman's power comes from, again, within. Having that confidence in, as I know who I am, I know what I am. I'm going to continue to be this and make an impact in as many lives as I can. And I think that's what makes a powerful woman too, like the fact that you're able to make a difference, able to make a change, and it's a genuine desire to do so.
I know who I am and I know what I am. And you know what? I don't want to take that for granted, because I know I've had points in my life where I've lost a sense of self, where I genuinely forgot who the heck I am. And so it sounds like it's a phrase we can kind of skim over and go, I know who I am. But there are moments where we can kind of have a lost sense of identity by nature of life's events, maybe being hit about a little bit or just moved off center. So I love that you say it's having that sense of, I know who I am and I know what I am. Now I'm interested in the essence of your power. So I asked all guests on the show to have a think about the essence of their power. And the way that I define that, in case you're new and you haven't watched us before, is I asked our guests, what is it, if we were to take everything that you've done so far in your life and your business and literally just boil it down to 3 power tools, which I define as strategies, tools, techniques, ways of being that have been absolutely fundamental to the success that you've had in your life and business, what would they be? So let's dive straight in. What would be your first power tool? The first thing that you say, this is the thing that makes me.
Well, number one is definitely my confidence. Like, it's especially it being just who I am. Number 2 would be webinars, free webinars. Like, nothing's more appreciated than free education, because paying for college is a lot. And right now I am on a break from college while my husband is in school. And once he graduates, I'll be starting the following fall, so that we're able to work and do school at the same time. But reading, my mindset, and my confidence are, my top. I say free webinars and reading, because again, as long as you're alive, you're growing. So you have to continue to educate yourself and refresh yourself. Sometimes you have to unlearn some things that you've learned, because that's what you needed in that time period of your life. But as you grow into who you're destined to be, continue to educate yourself, especially if you want to be a psychologist. Take free webinars on psychology. Take free webinars on human biology. And then there's even some websites where you can take free courses and pay for certifications. My number one thing would be continue to educate yourself as long as you're growing.
And is there a particular type of education? Because there's so much we can learn. I mean, if you take YouTube, for example, I mean, you've basically got the University of Google and YouTube, and you'll find pretty much answers on anything in particular. But do you think there's a particular place in which we should focus our learning that would really be of the most benefit?
I would suggest Allison.com, because that's where I got my business leadership diploma. It's self-paced, it's an accelerated program, and it's a real diploma program. So you get what you get out of what you give. If you take a month and do like 4 or 5 classes, you can end up with 4 or 5 diplomas in a week. And they have like so many categories. They even have paths, like class pathways that you can take. Like if you want to be, like, again, a psychologist, which is one of my diplomas as well. I took one of the pathways, which was like 5 different courses, like 140. And I was just so determined to get my psychology diploma. I did all of that in 2 weeks.
Wow. It sounds like as well as confidence, that you've got a lot of determination, a lot of grit. Would you say that that's been one of the things as well that's been quite fundamental to how the success and traction that you're getting?
Definitely, especially the determination, because that's where I keep saying, as long as you have the genuine desire, you're going to do what you need to do to fulfill that desire. So, as long as I desire this, I'm determined to get it. I'm going to do everything that I have to do to make it work, to make it happen.
My mother used to say, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll do something different.
Exactly.
But it sounds like
Exactly.
you never get to that point. You've got such a level of determination that the idea pops in and that's it. I'm off. I'm doing it. Nobody's getting in my way. I'm just going to keep going until I can get to that result.
I
They're
wouldn't
going to
say, oh, I'm
go
sorry. I
on.
wouldn't say I've never got to that point because within the last few months, I went through a very deep depression because we had so many losses in my family. It was just too much to take on. And just the energy of death just makes everything weird. Like you think more, you feel more, you pay more attention to more things. And when my depression hit, like I felt like, what am I doing? Like, is it even worth it? I don't even think it's been appreciated. But then I had to remember, like, no, there's people who love you. Do you know what you are to the people who loves you? And that's where that's how I can make the statement. Make sure you'll always know who you are and what you are. Just remember, as long as you remember that, no matter what you go through, you can get through it because you want to get back to being who and what you are. Me personally, I don't like to be down for too long. Naturally, like our body is going to go through whatever it's going to go through in those moments. But it's up to us to either remain there or work to get out of it. And that's where my determination come in. I don't want to be depressed. I'm going to put in this work to get myself back up. So I started putting in more work on my business, putting in more work in with my kids at school. Like I was just doing more with my family to pull myself up out of that dark place. So I've definitely gotten there. But it's as long as you stay true to who you are and what you are, you'll prosper.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And my condolences that you've experienced so much loss recently. I know the times at the moment can be quite challenging. And so I know that share alone will have resonated with a lot of people who perhaps thinking, oh, you're always bubbly and stuff. But it's useful to remember that even in those dark times, our ability to keep taking those steps is the thing that's going to propel us forward and allow us to have those transformations. There are going to be people who've listened this far now and they've watched the show to this point and they're thinking, wow, Mama Mia, this woman, I need a little bit of what she's got. So how does somebody stay connected with you? How do we reach out to you? How do we get some more of you in our lives?
You can definitely follow me on Facebook. I have two Facebook profiles. One is just Tasheante Locust, and the other is Tasheante Roshonda Locust. Snapchat under Tasheante, it's my name except the E's are three, so it's TASH3ANT3. And I post a lot on there. Like you can get more personal with me on Snapchat than anywhere else. And I
So,
am also on Twitter under Queen. The E's are still threes, QU33N_94.
so
And
we've got
just feel free to,
Snapchat, Facebook, or Twitter.
yep, I'm everywhere. And Instagram. I don't post on Instagram that much though.
Okay, don't look for you on Instagram because you're probably not going to get too much of a response now. I would love you to help me wrap the show up because we've talked about so much today. We've talked about confidence, we've talked about our ability to tap into ourselves, we've talked about determination, and I'd really love to hear from you if there was literally just one thing that you could leave our guests with today who've been listening in to this point, like just one word of wisdom or one thing that they could take and move forward, what would that be?
Love yourself. And that just goes without saying. Because as long as you love yourself, loving who you are, what you are, and just being true to that, no matter what you go through, don't allow anything or anybody to change your perspective of you. Don't allow anything or anybody to stop you from loving you. Because once you stop loving yourself, the determination is gone. The confidence is gone. You're gonna be more insecure. So as long as you're loving yourself, you're doing everything that you have to do to make yourself happy. You're doing everything that you have to do to elevate yourself and get yourself where you desire to be. Don't give up on yourself.
Oh
Like
my
that is my
gosh.
main thing. And so many people just have too many negative perspectives of themselves, and it's the main source of most of the problems in their life. But learning to love yourself through everything, you would, I'm telling you, you would be so much happier, genuinely.
Oh my gosh, I've got goose pimples just from that share, because it's so true that often, especially as women, we can often put other people before ourselves, our families, our husbands, our mothers, our work. It's like we're the last people to look after ourselves. And so it's easy to fall out of love with ourselves. It's easy to forget to nourish ourselves first. And so whilst we can sit with this and think, oh, that's quite an easy thing, it's actually incredibly profound, what you've just said there. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
We are now at the end of the show. This has been absolutely incredible. In case you want to continue to connect, if you're listening to this or watching on YouTube or are watching the podcast, listening to the podcast even, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you know when we're live again. To all of our listeners, watchers, guests, etc., it's been wonderful being here today. Until the next show, you've been watching the Lovelda Show, Women of Power. And until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. Ciao.